Hey, thank you for joining me for Dark Tree Discussions. My name is Mark. I am the producer of the podcast section of the channel and part of the Dark Tree Management team. I'm joined by our guest, Alex, a good friend of mine. He's going to be helping us out with some of the podcasts for the channel moving forward. We're glad to welcome him to the team. And with me is also Jason, kind of the creative mind behind the channel as a whole. He's working on a couple of new projects following our Halloween special. We thank everyone for watching that. We had a lot of fun making it. Today we have kind of a different question, kind of a more theoretical question. And today we're going to be discussing, would it be more frightening to discover that humans are the most advanced species in the universe, or that we are far from the most advanced species in the universe? So if humans have the highest level of tech there is, we've got the best society, is that scary, or is it scary to think that we don't? And that's kind of what we'll be talking about today. Jason, your thoughts. Is it scarier for humans to be the most advanced or to be the least advanced?
This is your area of expertise. I'm going to let you get the opening statement on this one.
All right, fair enough. I don't know about my area of expertise, but I do like to study science.
You're an astrophysicist.
I don't know about all that, but I do enjoy reading about physics and quantum mechanics. It's kind of a hobby of mine. So I personally would find it more terrifying if humans were, in fact, the most advanced species. Because in terms of truly advanced science, we have little to none. We have only just come to the point of being able to manipulate the human genome. We're only beginning now to be able to develop the technology that would improve our species as a whole, not just treat a disease. And in the more kind of physics side of science, we really know nothing about space.
Right.
We can barely send a rover to Mars. We can't send people there. It took an incredible amount of resources to send someone to the moon, and we haven't since. And not just where I live in the U.S., but as the world, we haven't sent anyone else even to the moon since, and that's so close on the cosmological scale. And so thinking of us as the single most advanced species, in my opinion, is a little more scary because we're not particularly advanced. It is, right. Yeah. I think, that I guess that begs the question of is other life real? Are we the only planet that has life? Which I also would find terrifying. But I don't think that's the case either. Mathematically, it's impossible. I don't, and I think that's the case no matter what you believe, even religiously. I certainly think that there's life on other planets. We certainly know other planets are capable of sustaining life. We don't have another planet in our solar system that shows signs of habitation. But we have certainly discovered other planets that show the right chemical composition and location from their sun to maintain carbon-based life. So I bet it. I guarantee it's out there. But I would A, be surprised if we were the most advanced, and B, be kind of scared if we were the most advanced, because we are not advanced. Humans.
If whatever created us, gave us, said, all right, you guys are the only chance at life. We failed miserably as a species.
Oh, yeah. Well, our species has made their fair share of mistakes. And I think we've got a lot further to go as a species before we reach the level of technology to travel out into the stars. Our current level, it's what we call chemical propulsion. That's us using rocket fuel to lift things off the ground and put them into space with no sort of propulsion in space. Because the space is a vacuum, once you start something moving, it doesn't stop moving unless it hits something. But that's a really slow way to travel. And interestingly enough, in fact, earlier this year, a type of energy, a particle was discovered that uses a form of energy to essentially instantly travel from one place in space and time to another. And so discovering that particle and us beginning to study it may give us the clue we need to be able to start traveling greater distances, but we're still decades from being able to apply any of that knowledge. And
So you're
I would
saying
be
that
surprised if there isn't another species that is already doing that. You know?
so you're saying that potentially we have a concept of a warp drive.
Correct. Even though the idea comes out of the show Star Trek of all places, so something like Star Wars, right, with their light speed jump to light speed, that whole sort of thing, that sort of travel is simply impossible because they're just traveling that faster than light, which isn't possible if you're moving between point A and point B on the map. Matter cannot be accelerated to that point. This particle, however, doesn't travel between A and B. It simply goes from A to B without passing the intervening distance, kind of like teleportation, if you will. And since discovering this particle, it's opened our eyes to the potential of actually generating the type of energy needed to travel vast distances without passing the space in between them. And so, yeah, potentially we could be 100 years out from being able to do that. But we're not there yet. And more than that, just in terms of science as a whole, we're not particularly advanced. So I think it's more terrifying if we're the most advanced species in existence. Alex, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that if we are the most advanced species, that I'd be honestly kind of surprised to see what the less advanced species are like.
Right.
It isn't a good thought that we would be the most advanced, but if there is a less advanced species, say on a different planet, what have they come up with their resources? And if there's a more advanced, what it could be that the planet that they're on is what's allowing them to advance so quickly.
You're 100% right. We know for a fact that there are different elemental matters on other planets, other moons, asteroids, and so the chemical composition of the moon is not the same chemical composition of Earth. That matter does not exist on Earth. And so the same would be true of other planets. It's entirely possible that a different, kind of metal or a different kind of chemical exists on another planet that allowed them to develop technology at a different rate than ours because we don't have that particular element. And so that's very possible. You're right. And it would be interesting to know what those societies are like. Kind of like in that Marvel movie that came out, said the Black Panther movie set in fictional Wakanda with a fictional material that was so versatile in its application, something like that, a material that has medical application and power application and armor application and vehicle design application that could build a vehicle capable of traveling at speeds we can't reach and traveling the stars in ways we can't. So it is certainly possible. Obviously, we have no proof, but and that's where you get into the kind of conspiracy theorist idea, where do we have proof that other species exist and have we found evidence of it? And I think we have, but that'll be a discussion for another time. But even for example, in even 20, 30 years ago, when we were putting up sensors and radio towers and receivers capable of projecting deep into space and receiving signals deep from space, more than one time we've received signals where we've been like, we didn't send that signal. Is it some sort of signal that we're picking up ambient just from space noise, so to speak, a type of wavelength that is simply in space, or are we picking up some sort of actual intelligent signal? And we don't have proof either way, but and we're kind of getting off track here, but no, I don't think we're alone, and I think there is enough evidence to consider the question without the whole conspiracy theory, kind of crazy side of it. Jason, your thoughts?
I mean, I agree with everything you said, pretty much. I don't really know this topic as much as you do, but I would say it'd be very, very shocking if we were the least advanced species, like I said. And what Matt said, I would want to know what the other species wouldn't have, and why.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would certainly be interesting. And I think, like I said, in 100 years or so, it's very possible that we will begin leaving our planet, begin being able to actually explore our immediate planets, the solar system and beyond. And, I certainly don't think there's any life within our solar system other than our own planet. If there is, it's not carbon based because our life forms cannot be sustained on those planets. But we've been able to watch those planets with enough cameras long enough that if something was there, we would have seen it. But I certainly think that there are planets beyond our solar system that are capable of sustaining our life forms. But it's quite possible that the life that's out there isn't carbon based, and so there may be life on planets that couldn't sustain human life, and it's when we get to that point in our development, I look forward to what we discover. It'll always be interesting, even if in my lifetime we don't discover another species, we'll still make incredible discoveries that will shape the way we view the world around us and our reality. And I look forward to those days. I always find I always found space to be interesting because it's kind of our last frontier. Short of the depths of the jungle and the deepest parts of the ocean, we know our planet, and so kind of the only place left to discover is space. And it's awesome to be alive in a time where we're coming to that point, and we'll get to see the developments that get us there. That's really all we had. Just kind of wanted to talk about something a little less serious, but still interesting and something real world. We are on the brink of some incredible discoveries, and so it's interesting to to talk about what those possibilities could be, and what those consequences of those discoveries are. So I do want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in. Do leave a comment if you have any thoughts on the topic. For those who listen, please subscribe to the channel. It's the single greatest way you can help support the channel. It grows us, and it also allows us to keep in contact with you guys and keep producing content you like. Beyond that, though, I want to thank Alex for joining me. Jason, again, this has been Dark Tree Discussions. Thank you for listening.